All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. This week, we're going to be jumping into some prospects that you should be looking out for in your fantasy baseball leagues. We'll be right back.
The Fantasy Six Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bob and AJ Applegarth.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me tonight, Corey Pieper. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I am enjoying another week of baseball here as we keep going through May. No AJ, so can't make any jokes about the Phillies. They are on in the background, but I can't even make any jokes as they're losing 5-1. So
I mean,
I was ready to. I had some ready to go.
That's the joke. There you go.
Just them being gone, or just the Phillies is the joke?
It's the Phillies.
They're not. At least you're not the Rockies. That's always the joke.
Man,
at least you're not the Rockies.
Destroyed today. I don't even know what the final score of the second game was, but I know that Detroit hit double digits in the first one.
They lost today combined in 2 games. They lost 21-3.
Ooh, I mean, it was 11-1 in the second one. That means
10-2 and 11-1. Yep.
Oh wow. All right, good stuff.
Typical Rockies day.
Man, it has just gotten somehow increasingly worse for the last 3 years for them. I didn't know that was possible for them, but all right, guys. Before we jump into things, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell, leave those comments, jump in and join in on the fun. We love hearing from you. And of course, jump over to FantasySixPack.net. You're going to get access to our award-winning rankings, our draft cheat sheets for football that's coming up here. We got baseball, of course, as well. Our DFS and betting cheat sheets and a ton of other advice that you can get over on Discord for your custom leagues that you have questions for. Use F6P MLB 25 to save 15%. Without further ado, though, let's bring in our guest for the night, David Whitcomb, writer here for Fantasy Six Pack. Does the hitting matchup article that comes out on Saturdays, usually updates our closer chart, and has his own podcast over here. So you can go ahead and say a little something about that one if you want.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me. We also hosted the show on my co-host tonight, Rich Sayer, hosts a show on the Fantasy Six Pack Network called Two Guys, One Roundup. And same kind of thing as Joe just said. We'd love it if you'd give it a listen and check it out and like and subscribe.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to jump into some prospect talk here. So, look, we've seen a lot of guys come up already. Kobe Mayo, Ha-Seong Kim, Nick Kurtz, kind of the more recent ones that we've seen. Really, this is the time of the year where we're going to start hearing more rumors of guys coming up. These young guys that you could argue maybe should have breaking camp, been kind of stuck behind some guys on the depth charts, need an injury to get up there, waiting for the team to absolutely bottom out before the management is just let's just bring them up, see what we got, whatever it is, right? So run through some guys here. Let's just cover, kind of things like what can we expect from them? Are they worth stashing now, or is it kind of a wait and hold and not worth the risk on them? We'll start with a hot name in spring, and his mate over there got the call, but he did not. And it is Roman Anthony, off to a really good start here in 2025. So should get the call up, I would say, but I don't know where he goes right now, and I think that's kind of the problem. So, David, what's your thoughts here, man?
Totally agree. That's actually kind of the notes I made. Is that the trick is the Red Sox outfield is not only set offensively, but they have one of the best defensive outfielders in baseball. Cedane Rafaela might be the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Willie Abreu, again, I think won the Gold Glove or led the league in defensive run save in right field last year. And then Jaron Duran is a center fielder playing left field. So Roman Anthony is an outfielder, will have a place to play. Obviously, they got Rafi Devers at DH, and as today's news said, not first base. So I'm not sure where he plays. This is the trick, except for there's a little bit of talk going around Red Sox Twitter of perhaps Trevor Story moving to first base. His defensive numbers are apparently way down. And then moving Rafaela to short and putting Anthony in the outfield there. That seems like a square peg in a round hole to me. But yeah, as far as Anthony's long-term prospects, no pun intended, absolutely love him, but I'm not exactly sure, barring injury, where he plays right now.
Corey, any other thoughts here? Like, what do you do with him in redraft leagues? Obviously, dynasty leagues, he's rostered everywhere.
Right.
But redraft leagues, like, what do you do with this guy?
Yeah, I've been writing the waiver wire, and I've been trying to include a few stashes a week. I have not included Roman Anthony. Not that I don't think he can deserve it. I think you can dream on an outcome of like what Kyle Tucker offers with Roman Anthony, like this 20 homer, 30 home run, 20 steal type of guy with a plus batting average, which, Kyle Tucker's a perennial first round fantasy player. But Dave said it, like, where does he play right now? If Rafael Devers isn't going to move to first base, everything's kind of clogged up here. We need another injury to have a way to get him in here. And I've said before, like, the Red Sox love Rob Refsnyder, right? Like, so even if one of these guys goes down, they are going to at least consider Refsnyder before they're going to promote Roman Anthony. So as much as he might be ready, it's hard to find a home to get him in right now. And that could be probably all season. I don't see this team, barring like trading him, I don't see them making any substantial moves to get rid of anybody on the team to clear a spot for him, because these guys are young, under control. Jaron Duran's a star. Like, Billy Abreu's won a Gold Glove last year. He's one of the, we've talked about him before on here. And Cesar Rafaela strikes out a little bit, but like Dave said, he's a fantastic center fielder who can also play shortstop. They're not trading him anytime soon. So I don't know where the hole comes in, and it might not be for a while.
Yeah. They actually gave Rafaela the bag in the offseason too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
True.
So
yeah, I think it's going to be, I know a lot of people drafted him like late in even redrafts, just hoping he would get called like a few weeks in. And I don't know what his rostership percentage is right now, but I'm pretty sure that's dropped. I don't think I would be able to stash him because I think it's going to be a long time until we see him. That's a rough hold unless you got a really deep bench. So let's move over here to the next one here. And we've got Marcelo Mayer. What are we thinking with him right now? Corey, we'll start with you.
So it's the same basic thing even if Trevor Story gets shifted over, right? I think we're getting Marcelo Mayer before we get Roman Anthony at that base, because Marcelo Mayer is the shortstop prospect that the Red Sox also have. So at one time it was the big three prospects, and then they traded away Kyle Teal, the catcher, to get Garrett Crochet, and Roman Anthony's still there. Christian Campbell, actually, it's a big four because Christian Campbell's up. And then Marcelo Mayer is the one that's left. So Mayer actually hasn't played a lot of minor league baseball because he got injured last season. I think we're at this is the first time he's ever been at AAA. Now he's doing great. Last I checked, he had, I think, 6 home runs at the time, and he was hitting around 270. He's going to hit. That's not a problem. He'll hit, but it's the same discussion. Barring somebody moving to first and moving Romy Gonzalez off of first base because of Tristan Casas' injury, which we'll get to later, there's still not a spot. Like, if they do that, yeah, we can get Marcelo Mayer. I have more confidence that we'll see. I think we'll see Marcelo Mayer before we'll see Roman Anthony. I think Roman Anthony is a better option for fantasy, but I think it's more likely we see Marcelo Mayer first.
It's so weird. Like, the Red Sox are now turning into almost like the Dodgers. Like, their prospects are just blocked. You just don't know what to do with them, which is funny. We'll get to the next guy here in a second. But David, any other thoughts here about Mayer? Like, what do we do with him in redraft league?
Yeah, no, I like Corey's take that it's a distinct possibility that you would see him before Anthony strictly because of positional need or positional ability or whatever. I will admit that I'm a little bit of a low man on Mayer. Not to say he's not going to. I think Mayer is absolutely a 10 to 15 year big leaguer. I'm not sure he's a great fantasy star. I think he gets prospect hype by association to Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell. I think he's and then also the Red Sox media machine. But yeah, bottom line is that again, unless they say, let's say, for example, I talked about with Anthony, they move Story to first, and maybe they call up Mayer to play short and leave Rafaela in center, something along those lines. But yeah, I'm in redraft in particular. I'm not seeing a point in rostering Mayer.
Yeah, I think Mayer was like the first big prospect out of these three that you heard of from Boston because of where he got drafted, right? Fourth overall, just a few years ago now, and he never really panned out. Sort of just, I don't know, underwhelmed, it felt like. And so now this season he's really clicking, it feels like. So, but yeah, again, he's just totally blocked. And again, we mentioned the Dodgers here. Next guy on the list, Dalton Rushing, the catcher here for the Dodgers. Literally nowhere to go. I don't know what to do with this guy. At one point, there was Will Smith was DHing a bunch, but that's never going to happen anymore because Ohtani's there. So there's just nowhere for him to even like platoon unless they really want to platoon Will Smith bat out of the lineup, which I don't think they want to do very often. So David, what's your thoughts here with Rushing?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I would think it's fair to say they're not rushing him to the majors. No, actually, sorry, I'll show myself. No, actually, a friend of mine always says when a team tells you about their prospect, believe them. And Rushing, in spite of crushing minor league pitching the last 2 years, has not been called up to the majors. When Teoscar Hernandez just went down, they called a 27-year-old strikes out like half the time James Outman. So I think that while Rushing is an interesting prospect, and especially if he gets the job behind the dish somewhere, honestly, the Dodgers are so wealthy and so prospect rich that I could see them just sticking to this guy as their AAA in case Will Smith gets injured catcher. And him just not getting a call up to the big leagues just out of nowhere to play him. Or theoretically, they eat the money on Conforto and he takes Conforto's job. Conforto's been an abomination, basically. But I don't know. I just don't see the job for Rushing. I kind of get James Outman vibes, not from a similarity perspective, just from a nowhere to play him perspective.
Yeah, I feel that. I do see, and I didn't even realize this on Fangraphs. He's got left field next to his name as well. I guess he's been kind of lined up in the outfield, so that's interesting. I was not aware of that. Very interesting, Corey.
Yeah, they had him start playing outfield last year. He's also played, looks like 7 games at first base this season as well, which, of course, is Freddie Freeman, who looks like an absolute star again. So that's well blocked. Will Smith is blocking him. It's like David said, the spot is left field, right? We talked about Conforto before. As long as Conforto's in the lineup, I've said I have him on some benches still just because he's in the Dodgers basically, but he's been miserable. But they called up James Outman, right? They didn't bring up Dalton Rushing here. I think the best way, and they brought up Pai-San Kim to play second, and eventually it sounds like Tommy Edman's probably coming back in the next week or so. He was off to a great start, so that now creates another spot. What do they do then? Does Kim go back to the minors? Yeah, it sounds like Teoscar's probably out for a while, but they didn't bring up Dalton Rushing. I think Dalton Rushing's best bet is probably not as a member of the Los Angeles Dodgers come like a week before the trade deadline if you want to try to take a chance on Dalton Rushing, because they go out and they tried for, I don't know, Ryan Helsley, Pete Fairbanks, who knows what they're going to try to acquire. That's Dalton Rushing's way. It's going to be very hard for him to break into the Dodgers, barring some type of a trade to another team like Tampa Bay or whatever. Something like that's probably his best fit.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say that the Dodgers might be buyers at the trade deadline. I'm sure they probably will figure out a way to add something, but you wouldn't have thought they needed it. But they've been pretty decimated by injuries, and we talked about that last week, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. All right, next guy up here, same division, Jordan Lawlar, guy who last year, I guess 2023 got the call up for a hot minute there and did not look good. Looked very lost at the plate. Didn't get a chance last year at all, but off to a really good start in the minors this year. So now there's a lot of buzz around him. He was a big top prospect a couple of years ago, sort of fallen off a little bit, but still think there's a lot of excitement for him in the fantasy baseball world. Where does he go? Like, what do they do with him? I mean, like, Alec Thomas is sitting out there in the outfield, and he's all right defensively, but like, you think they could find a way to get Lawlar up there? There's some rumors that he's going to get the call soon. Corey.
Yeah, it's hard because, I mean, he's, as far as I know, he's only played infield position. So you're talking about Alec Thomas. He's never played the outfield. He's played some second, mostly shortstop and third. Well,
I don't know why I was thinking he was an outfielder. Just this idiot.
No, so
duh, I'm dumb.
So second is Ketel Marte, right? We already saw him get hurt. They did not consider Jordan Lawlar there, so that's out. Perdomo just got, you're talking about getting a bag. He got a bag this offseason. Everybody said why, and he looks awesome. He's been playing great this season. I think it'll fall off somewhat, but he's also a fantastic defender at shortstop, so it's hard to create a spot there. And third, say what you want about Eugenio Suarez. The dude hits bombs. I do not think they're taking him out of the lineup anytime soon. So the infield's crowded there too. And you talked about Lawlar. Yeah, he came up for the 2023 as they were making the run to the postseason, and he was overmatched at what would he have been like 20, 21. He was pretty young at the time. And then last year he basically missed all the season with, it was a thumb that I think transitioned. He came back for like a week and then he hurt his hamstring and he missed nearly all the season. So they're going to slow roll it. They don't have any reason to push Jordan Lawlar to the big leagues. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him later this season, but I don't think there's like an imminent call up coming from Jordan Lawlar.
Like one of those September expanded roster call ups. Sure. Like that's what I feel like we're going to see with a lot of these guys that we've talked about so far. David, any other thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Lawlar, my notes basically were Lawlar needs new threads to get the call. Like he needs to be wearing a different uniform. And the fact that they didn't, when they sent down Jake McCarthy, actually, who they had planned on being their everyday center fielder, and he was atrocious. So they sent him, and they didn't, kind of like when Cattell got hurt, they moved him to second base a little bit. People got started, believing maybe he'll come up for Cattell, and then they call up Tintawa. But they've never tried, like Corey said, they've never tried him in the outfield. And Alec Thomas is actually quite a good defender. So they probably just want to, this is a contending team, right? This is a team that has World Series aspirations. Kind of to Corey's point, they're not going to rush them up to the big leagues just because because fantasy players want them there, So right. For what it's worth, on Pirates Twitter, which I didn't know was a thing, but is, Bob Nutting will probably cancel it here shortly. But anyway, on Pirates Twitter, somebody suggested a straight up prospect trade that never happened, of course, but of Jordan Lawlar, Bubba Chandler in real life. And I think that makes so much sense for both teams and will never happen. But the Pirates are desperate for offense, and the Diamondbacks could use another starting pitcher. And again, will never ever happen. But it was a fun idea. So anyway,
yeah. All right, jumping over here to the Cubs. I'm gonna murder this name. Moises
Ballasteros.
Thank you.
Yep.
So catcher here for the Cubs. Clearly, I don't think anybody thought Carson Kelly was going to do what he has done so far. Slowing down a little bit, but still being very productive. Amaya's, fine back there. Has obviously lost the starting gig to Carson Kelly, but any chance that this guy gets the call this season, and what do we expect from him, David?
No, in my opinion, no chance whatsoever he gets the call. Cubs, like we were just talking about with the Diamondbacks, have legitimate World Series aspirations, and more legitimate before Justin Steele got hurt. But maybe they go out and get a starting pitcher or whatever. Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya are both plus defenders. Both have Amaya is young, but not as young. Ballasteros is only 21 years old. The Cubs are not going to sit Carson Kelly or Amaya for a 21-year-old. Is in a season where they're, performing well. So, in my opinion, redraft, no point in stashing at all. Same thing as we've talked about in Dynasty, totally different thing, but in redraft, just no point.
Corey, anything else?
I think I'm a little more optimistic than David, just on the fact that I think Ballasteros is probably their best hitter. And so clearly the best hitter in the minors. I think if something happens in the outfield right now, they've got four amazing outfielders, right? You got Suzuki, Tucker, Ian Happ, and Pete Crow Armstrong, and one of them's been playing DH. If one of them were to get hurt, I think you could get a way to find him in some DH. Like Ballasteros, the way he hits would be a fine DH. Like he hits for high average, he could hit for power. I do not think they've ever tried him at first base, and Bush has been okay there too. Their weak spot's third. That's the weak spot. That's where John Birdie's been playing. I don't think Michael Bush might have played there at one point when he was with the Dodgers, but I don't think they're going to move him off first. So that's hard. But I think if you see an injury to an outfielder, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try Ballasteros at DH for a while, because I think he's very short. He's rotund. If you've ever seen him play, he looks like Alejandro Kirk out there, which is not a compliment, but he hits well. So I could see him getting some DH run, but it would require an injury. So it's hard to stash him too. I would not be stashing him in a redraft league now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, like I said, I don't think the Cubs signed Carson Kelly expecting him to hit 8 bombs and by May 8th, batting 340, almost 350.
This didn't think they were getting Babe Ruth out of Carson Kelly. No.
Yeah.
What?
And I think they don't trade for Kyle Tucker if they're not trying here, but they are off to a crazy good start for them. And so when you're contending like that, there's really no need to shake it up and bring up this guy when you're having production at the position he plays in. So I totally agree with you guys that I think we're going to struggle to see him come up. So, man, we are like 0 for 6 on guys coming up right now, it feels like. But that's the life of fantasy baseball, and I feel like that's something that people need to hear because people are stashing these players, and I feel like for no reason. So moving on here to the next one, Jac Caglione. Corey, what's your thoughts on him, man?
So Caglione was just drafted last summer. At the time he was coming out, he was a two-way player. So now he's just focused on hitting, and it's going quite well. They promoted him right away. He's been playing at Double-A all season for the Royals. 8 homers, 31 RBIs, hitting .330. That's a 22-year-old at Double-A. And like we talk about a team that could use a boost of offense, that honestly is the Kansas City Royals. Among the teams that we talked about, this is the team that they should take a chance and try to promote one of their guys. They're still somehow 23-16 as they struggle to score runs. And the problem is that their DH spot is plugged by Salvador Perez, who no longer can catch any games. So that one's out, and you're not going to take him off of catching. And so then you figure out, okay, well, they have started using Caglione in right field because first base, say what you want about the way Vinny P's played, they're still pot committed to Vinny Pasquantino, and I think
he's up lately, at least.
Yeah, he's been playing better lately. So right field is the spot. Drew Waters is not holding back Jac Caglione there from playing. So I think this one happens. Now, is it like imminent? I would say in the next month, I would expect Jac Caglione to be the right fielder for the Kansas City Royals. So if you want to start stashing him now, go ahead. But I would say a month. That's kind of my thoughts for him.
All right, so we got a guy here. All right, David, do you agree or disagree?
Totally 100% agree. On our entire list, this is easily my favorite call up guy.
Right.
He's a Gator, first of all, and I'm from Florida, so there's that.
Nice.
But no, absolutely. The most encouraging thing about Caglione was that his swing and miss was supposed to be the weakness in this game. He's only striking out 24% of the time at Double-A. I could see him getting called to Omaha to Triple-A here pretty soon. He's just, like Corey was saying, he's hitting nukes. He hit one out of the stadium off the building behind the stadium 2 or 3 nights ago. He's athletic enough because he was a two-way player. He's athletic enough to play the outfield. Again, I can't be effusive enough in my praise of Jac Caglione. Absolutely 100% stash him now.
Yeah, and if there's a team who could use a little jolt of offense, it is the Royals. They rank 27th in WRC plus, so they definitely need a jolt of offense here. So bring this guy up and see what he can do for you. Let's get a picture right here. We talked about him already a little bit. David, since you were the one who brought him up, what's your thoughts on Bubba Chandler?
Yeah, Bubba Chandler's interesting. He's maybe the best pitching prospect in the minors. Obviously, there's some other contenders there, but he's in the discussion. They easily have a vacancy in the rotation to install him. But kind of my worry is, what's the point? The Pirates are going absolutely nowhere this year. Nobody goes to their games even when Paul Skeens starts, so they're not going to bring him up to sell tickets. Bottom line is I think he probably gets the call, but probably a lot later than you're expecting. So I just same thing. In redraft, is he worth stashing? Depends on how deep your leagues, I guess. He's going to be good. He's going to be really good, even from the jump. But I just don't see the call being imminent.
I kind of wonder if, especially in leagues that have wins, even if he was called in September, I don't know, man. He might get you some nice numbers here and there, but he's not going to help you in the wins department. Skeens can barely get any wins, so it's what do you do here with him? Corey, thoughts on Chandler?
Yeah, I think it's sooner rather than later. Actually, I'm kind of thinking that he's up by the end of this month or so. He had a bad start in his last game, which is uncharacteristic for him, where he only went 2 2/3. But he still threw 78 pitches. The pitch count keeps slowly climbing. It started at 52, got to 61, bounced down to 62, 69. Now we're up into this upper 70s here. I think once he gets to probably 2 more starts, we get to 90 pitches, and then I think he's up. That's kind of the timeline that they use Skeens on. I think that that's kind of what I'm expecting out of Bubba Chandler, and I think he'll be good right away. Probably not as good as Skeens, but could he be as good as Jared Jones was before Jared Jones got injured? I think that's in there. He throws hard, he gets strikeouts, and so I'm kind of I'm thinking he's up certainly in June sometime. I don't know about May, but in June I'm kind of expecting Bubba Chandler, and I am stashing him in some like 15 team roto leagues. So deeper leagues, like I'm not 12s or anything like that yet, but 15 team rotos. I think there's one where I'm actually not being decimated by injuries on my bench that I do have him on the bench spot just in case. But that's where I'm going to start it or stash him. But
that's a good question by Chad. Does Shelton's firing change the timeline at all for you all?
Did they fire owner Bob Nutting?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a question. Like, it doesn't, because he's still making the call and the shots on that, and I don't have any confidence that he's going to rush anything with that. So,
Yeah.
Nope, I do not have any confidence.
There's a funny, if I can just give us an aside real quick, there's a funny story about Mark Cuban, of all people. People were clamoring for him to buy the Pirates. I think he's from Pittsburgh or something along those lines. And he basically said, listen, if your job was to stand in the middle of Pittsburgh and let people yell at you for $30 million a year, would you do it? And everybody, of course, says yes. And he's like, that's Bob Nutting's job. Like, that's what Bob Nutting is. He just lets people yell at him on Twitter, and he makes $30-50 million a year, and that's fine. What does he care if the team's any good? So, anyway.
Touche. All right. So another pitcher here, and Corey, we'll let you have this one. It's your team here. Jacob Misiorowski, sorry. If there is any team that needs to call up a pitcher, man, it is the Brewers, who are hurting at that position.
Do you know they're top and like they're 12th, I think, in ERA among starting pitchers right now?
That's
just amazing.
Actually pretty shocking.
It's pretty amazing considering they're rolling out there with what they got, but they're actually doing pretty well. So I said it before, Freddie Peralta's in, Jose Quintana's in. At some point, I think we probably get Brandon Woodruff before we see Jacob Misiorowski. It sounds like that's probably getting pretty close now.
Yeah, I agree.
Tobias Myers is been questionable at times. Chad Patrick has looked awesome. Actually, he won International League Pitcher of the Year last year. So we'll see if they actually take Chad Patrick out. He's been good. Priester's been okay at times. I think they called up Logan Henderson today. Again, there was talk of that happening. There were at least rumors that they were bringing Logan Henderson back. Remember, he got the one start on, I think it was Easter, where he struck out 9 over 6 innings and gave up 1 earned run. So I'd be more willing to add him for my redraft leagues. Misiorowski's great in the fact that he might have the Tyler Glasnow level stuff, like top stuff in the game. He also struggles to throw strikes big time. The walk rates are consistently high. And the Brewers have a tendency, whether it's Freddie Peralta, whether it's Corbin Burns, Josh Hader, all those guys start in the bullpen. All those guys, the Brewers will call you up and you'll work the like high leverage 2-inning role out of the bullpen most of the time. And that's probably where Misiorowski starts. And in Josh Hader's case, he never left that role and he's become a great closer from it. Right. But maybe he does get out of that role. Freddie Peralta became a pretty good starter out of it, but I'm not stashing Misiorowski in any redraft leagues just because I don't know what the role is. I don't know when he comes up. Like Chad said there, Savali's got to come back too. There's a lot of pitchers actually on the Brewers. Now, a lot of them are kind of questionable, but they're getting the most out of them, and it's confusing. And so, no, I'm not stashing Misiorowski in a redraft league.
David.
Yeah, sorry. Totally agree. The punchies are at a career low this year in AAA. The walks are not a career high, but they are close. And he's running a slow ERA, but a 3.75 xFIP. So bottom line is he's not pitching, his underlying numbers are not quite as good as his surface level ones. And bottom line is that this is a bullpen arm long-term all the way for me because like Corey said, just doesn't have the control. So bottom line is that while he's going to strike batters out, this guy's a late inning impact arm, not a starter for me long-term. So that means in redraft, forget it.
Fair enough. Yeah, and as Chad here is saying in the comments here, there's a lot of arms ahead of him currently, and Corey, you kind of brought that up. So, maybe not so much on him, but a guy who is getting the call up. We put the notes together before the announcement was made. Cade Horton over here for the, and I'm catch up on the tickers here. I don't have AJ yelling at me. I'm like 5 behind. Cade Horton finally getting the call up for the Cubs. I mean, it only took 17 injuries to happen, it felt like, but finally getting the call up. I don't know who he's playing because I didn't see the news until I pulled up the sheet.
Mets.
They're playing the Mets, so rough entrance to the major leagues. But this guy was a highly touted prospect, still is. Unfortunately, had the injury last year that really knocked him out, or else I think we would have seen him last year. David, what's your thoughts and expectations on Horton now that we know he's getting the call?
Yeah, so easily, like Caglione was my favorite one on the whole list. He's easily my favorite pitcher on the whole list. I think that as far as, again, for this year, people forget this guy was a Boomer Sooner, Oklahoma product. The 7th pick of the draft just 3 years ago. Was pretty universally regarded as the top 25-ish prospect in baseball before his injury-plagued season last year. I think that I'm not convinced this guy sees the minors again. I think he might just be up for good.
David or Corey, you agree with that?
Do I think he sees the minors again? I think it a lot depends on how bad Shota Imanaga's arm injury is. If his arm injury is bad enough and is not as bad as we think, I should say, and he's back in time, they've gotten some pretty good production out of Matthew Boyd's pitched pretty well for him. Jameson Title's pitched pretty well for him. Colin Ray's pitched pretty well for him. So they've had pretty good pitching actually out of it. So if Imanaga comes back, I think that Cade Horton might be the odd man out, but I think he'll be successful. I do think that the shoulder arm, he missed a lot of time last season with a shoulder injury. That still worries me. You don't love shoulder injuries out of pitchers, and he's came back and the walk rate's a little higher than it was. So I'm a little concerned about this, and we'll see how he doesn't get ground balls at a high rate. That can be tough pitching in Wrigley Field when the wind blows out, the home runs could get to him. But I agree. He's going to have some success. I think he'll get strikeouts. I would still prefer Bubba Chandler, but I'm not going to it's splitting hairs. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Cade Horton, you shouldn't have since he's already getting the call, sure, go out and add him, take the chance on it. But I think Bubba Chandler has a little more upside. And so I'll be probably focusing on that, but Cade Horton could have success too.
I just want to clarify. You mentioned Shota's arm injury. It's a hamstring, right? Or is there something else? Did I miss it?
So Cade Horton had a shoulder injury last year. That's why he only pitched, was it 30 innings last year? He had a shoulder injury last year. He's been back this season. That's what's got me concerned. Imanaga's got I thought it was a groin.
Hamstring groin. Yeah, I don't know. You said I swear you said if his arm injury is worse than we.
It's
you were freaking me out because I was no, I have him.
Sorry, I might have misspoke there. No, his is a leg.
You're good.
But
You're good.
No, it's a hammy on the Imanaga 100 degrees the groin. So anyway.
No, all good. I wanted to clarify for myself and anybody listening, just to make sure that we did not give the wrong advice here. But I added one here to the list, and Corey, I'll let you go first on it. Otto Kemp of the Phillies here. Again, it's a team where I don't know where he goes, but man, talk about a guy who's really just made a name for himself. He was a nobody, right? He kind of whatever prospect, not even drafted. But has just progressively gotten better and significantly better at every stop in the minors, it feels like, to the point where right now in the minors, AAA, he's had 10 bombs, 36 RBI, scored 30 times, 5 steals, batting .336, 425 OBP. This guy should be skyrocketing up prospect boards, and I'm not sure he's flying under the radar. What's your thoughts on him, man?
So there's always late risers or late developing players in baseball, right? Josh Donaldson was a late developing player who didn't come up till late, for example, as a more recent one. But he plays all over the infield, right? So he's played some at first, some at second. I think he's played some in the outfield, but mostly third. And my concern with Kemp is if we were going to see him, we probably would have saw him when Alec Bohm was cold as ice for a big chunk of the season here. And now he's started to turn it around, and we did not get to see Otto Kemp. And since Alec Bohm is turning it around, it's such a good lineup, man. There's such a good lineup that it's hard to see where he breaks into it. But I've been impressed with Otto Kemp. He started out last season at the Fall League at the end of the year. I know he went down there and he had a nice Fall League and hit close to 300 with some home runs there too. So yeah, I think he's probably close. He's probably ready, but there's just no room at the end for Otto Kemp with the Phillies right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. David, any thoughts on? I mean, I wish he played outfield because he could take Brandon Marsh's spot, but unfortunately he doesn't.
It's funny you mentioned that. So for me, Kemp was my thoughts on Kemp was one of these things is not like the others. This is not he's a 25-year-old undrafted free agent. Yes, he's doing well in the international league, but the way that prospect development whatever has gone is that. Actually, generally speaking, the pitching at AAA is a lot of guys, hanger-oners guys, as opposed to, whatever. So, bottom line is he didn't even make Fangraphs top 30 prospects for the Phillies this year. He's an atrocious defender. And if you put him in left field, I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who's a big Phillies fan. Let's just say he said that Phillies fans are clamoring for them to call him up, and kind of like Corey said, have him play left field, and then he moved Kepler to center and Castellanos in right. And I'm not sure that outfield ever catches the ball. So that's just my thoughts. Maybe his best position is hitter. And if Kyle Schwarber didn't exist, maybe we're talking a different thing. But kind of your point, Joe. This is a championship caliber squad. There's nowhere for him to play.
It'd be fun to see. I like seeing those kind of unknown players get their shots. They're fun stories. So hopefully we can see him up soon. But I don't know. This is the guy that when I was doing some research, I saw his name and was like, holy cow, who's this guy? Chad here in the comments has a question. Here's the question. He said a couple other things and I clicked on the wrong one. Speaking of the Mets, we were talking about them earlier. Love your thoughts on Nolan McLean entering stash territory despite the Mets rotation seemingly being a pretty good strength for them despite all the red flags before the season started. Who wants this one?
I think, in any dynasty league, he needs to be owned. He's like a borderline top 10 pitcher at this point. But in a redraft league, am I stashing Nolan McLean? Probably not. I don't think he's even got 40 innings yet at Double-A. I'm not even sure he's got 30 innings at Double-A. I think he's made 4 or 5 starts there, and they've been awesome. He's been great this season between High A and Double-A. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's going to be a while. I think he's probably still behind Brandon Sproat in the Mets minor league pitching tier, like hierarchy, whatever you want to say. I think he's still behind Sproat there. So I'm not stashing Nolan McLean in any redraft leagues, but you have to add him in any dynasty league. He should be added.
Yeah, I totally agree. He was actually a two-way player until this year, and then he's just focusing on the Mets. He's not on their 40-man, neither Sproat. I don't see them being in any rush to add him to get him up to the big leagues, and they're gonna let him focus on pitching in the minors for now.
Yep. Fair enough. So we've actually got a question from one of our Discord members here that I want to get your all's thoughts on. At first I said, no way, I can't do it. But he said 12-team OBP Roto League. It says head-to-head Roto. That's confusing. Anyway, let's just call it a 12-team OBP League. He said it's a bad idea to trade for Schwarber. I'd be trading away James Wood and either PCA or Seager. Now, the caveat is, because I said I can't trade away 2 really good positional players like that for a DH, even though Schwarber is top notch. Like that's hard to stomach, in my opinion. But he said Schwarber has outfield eligibility in this league somehow. So
when was the last time he played the outfield?
I don't know.
It has to be multiple. I'm checking this out here.
He's played a couple games actually this year.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess this is one of those leagues where you only need 1 game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the deal here, but I don't know. That's a tough one for me because maybe if it's Wood and Seager, I don't know if I'm giving away PCA yet. I don't really believe he's this good, but he's obviously way better than I thought he was. And obviously we know Seager is a massive injury risk, already been injured once, and the Rangers offense is sort of not great this year. So.
Moribund.
Wood is replaceable, obviously, but it's a matter of I don't know. What's your thoughts on this one? It's a tough one for me.
Yeah, this one I honestly can't wrap my head around this one because the only play in keeper leagues. So for the James Wood or PCA for Schwarber is an absolute no for me.
But I don't think this was obviously a keeper, but
this would be.
I think for me, Schwarber and OBP leagues,
Schwarber and an OBP league. I wrote the OBP article for us in the preseason. Right. Schwarber's a hell of an on base guy for sure. I guess PCA's numbers, if you're not playing in a speed league, like if steals don't count or count less somehow or something or whatever, most of the PCA's, his BABIP is really high and his. There was another stat I read the other day. Anyway, bottom line is PCA is outperforming his metrics. So,
we talked about that. And I know you guys talked about him just this past week or this week on your show.
Yes. So No, and I love PCA. I think long term he's a wonderful player, but for the rest of this year, PCA and a piece for Schwarber, sure. PCA and Wood for Schwarber, to me, that's a bit rich.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, Schwarber's awesome in an OBP league, don't get me wrong. And if you can get outfield out of him, that's awesome. But it's I would want something else back. Like if I get rid of PCA for Schwarber for straight up, sure, do that. But adding in James Wood is a lot. And if you have to give up James Wood, you should get some other piece in return. Would be my.
Now, would you do PCA and Seager like David said?
So what? I missed the Seager part. How does Seager fit into this?
So it was James Wood and PCA or Seager. So the way I read it is it's James Wood and then either one of those two. But I wonder if he could somehow finagle PCA and Seager, knowing that PCA is like the big name right now. Everybody wants him.
Right.
I wonder if that's like the big toy that that this guy's wanting to go get. So
Seager's also awesome in OBP. Like that, he's also really good at that. He's I don't know what the average is sitting at. He missed time with an injury. Shockingly, I know he missed time with an injury. But when he plays, like Corey Seager's great in any league as long as you don't like if steals don't matter, which I'm assuming if you're trading away James Wood, they're not that big of a deal in this league. Then like Corey Seager is a top 30 player probably in a league that if you don't worry about steals because of what he can offer, he is one of the rare players on the Rangers that's hitting. So I would not want to get rid of Corey Seager if I can avoid that. Like anything that's PCA for Kyle Schwarber, fine. But if I could keep James Wood and Corey Seager, I would do everything in my power to do that.
Yep. Couldn't agree further. Corey Seager actually is, I was talking to a buddy of mine also about Corey Seager the other day, and he's going to be, especially if the Rangers manage to win another World Series in his, before the end of his contract or whatever. I mean, absolutely fascinating Hall of Fame case. Because he misses time every whatever, but his peaks are so damn good. Like his rate stats are out of control good, but he doesn't have the volume of numbers that a lot of players.
I've said he's basically Freddie Freeman playing shortstop, but he's hurt all the time. That's basically what he is. He's Freddie Freeman who plays shortstop, but he's injured all the time. And once they got rid of the shift ban a few years ago, because there was that one year where his batting average when he was with the Dodgers bottomed out to like 240, and it was because they would just shift everything on it. Once they got rid of the shift, it became like he was the one that took off from that because suddenly it was.
I agree.
Okay, well then he just pills everything, and he's Freddie Freeman, but he plays shortstop, but he gets injured a lot too. So Seager's awesome.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to rip off a couple other names here. I just want to get your thoughts on if we even see any of these guys. If so, who? So we got Andrew Painter, we got Samuel Basallo, Travis Banzana, Chase DeLauder, and Quinn Matthews. So these are guys who when I went looking through it, it was a bunch of like, again, where do they fit? Why does the team have any need to bring them up? And just, that kind of stuff, like, and maybe they're just not fully ready yet. David, I'll let you pick, like, if you got any of these guys that you think are going to
sure. If I can, I'm going to go volume, and say that the latter four, Basallo, Bazana, DeLauder, and Matthews, I don't think any of them we see this year. None of them are performing especially well. DeLauder gets hurt literally all the time, probably got hurt while we've been recording. Quinn Matthews has a shoulder injury that he's rehabbing. He hasn't even started rehab starts or anything. Like he's just on the throwing program. The one guy that maybe is worth dashing is Andrew Painter, who made a start tonight in Lehigh Valley AAA. It's only 3 innings, but I think the Phillies might recognize that there's only so many bullets left in that arm. And they've been waiting on this guy for a long time. He hadn't thrown pitches in organized ball for nearly 2 years, other than the AFL. But he struck out Romananti actually tonight at AAA. Not very small, just one at bat, but he did do it. So bottom line is in redraft, I'm not sure. Kind of to your point, Joe, I'm not exactly sure where he fits in a Phillies rotation, unless they're going to bump maybe Ranger Suarez from the rotation. But that's not a guy whose stuff plays up out of the bullpen necessarily. I actually could see the Phillies bullpen has been a problem. I could see them shifting him to a bullpen role, kind of like your Brewers, Corey. And saying, hey, we got Taijuan Walker, whose stuff played up by the bullpen so far, and Andrew Painter is both as like 2 to 3 inning guys and nailing it down, which is not especially useful in fantasy, but is useful for the Philadelphia Phillies. So
anyway, that's an interesting thought. Yeah, pulling him in and use him as a bullpen guy. That would be interesting. Corey,
I can quickly through some of these. Samuel Basayo, they can't even find a way to get like Kobe Mayo in the lineup at times, and when he is in there, he struggles anyway. So no, I don't have any way that I think they'll get him in there.
I agree.
David's right about the Lawlar. His foot is, I think it wasn't actually his foot that he hurt this time, but his foot is always injured. That's what's terrifying there. Quinn Matthews has a shoulder injury. If you're going to stash a Matthews with a pitching Matthews, you should stash Zebby Matthews from Minnesota. That'd be a better Matthews stash there. Painter, you can, but my question is, okay, even if he does get to the Phillies, like, are we getting 30 innings out of him before they shut him down? This is a guy who's pitched less than 30 innings combined the last, I think, 3 seasons at this point. So I don't think, even if he does come up, yeah, maybe it's a bullpen role and it's like a Ryan Kerkering throwing. He's probably awesome in that role, but for redraft, I don't know what I'm getting out of that as far as like actual production. So the one that interests me the most is probably Travis Bazzana. Bazzana was the first pick overall last summer in that draft with Caglione and some of these guys. He was the first pick overall there, and he's been a little bit erratic so far. I think they got him at AA, the Guardians do, but once he gets hitting, and I think he'll get hitting. Is second base, is Daniel Schneemann really keeping Travis Bazzana down from playing second base for the Cleveland Guardians? Or I think Gabriel Arias has played there at times too, where he's been playing shortstop. Like, there's a way for Cleveland to find a spot for Travis Bazzana when he gets hitting, but I don't think it's imminent. I think that's probably like end of July, early August, something like that. We can get Bazzana there. That's the one I think is most likely to actually help you with fantasy this year. But I could see Painter also getting there, but I just don't know what that actually entails when he gets there.
Yeah, Bazzana was the one that I had kind of earmarked as the one that I thought would be coming up too. Again, I think there is a hole in that lineup at second base. But to your point, Corey, it's just, a matter of when. I think they're going to take their time with it, make sure he's right, and like they're gonna be a competing team in the AL Central. So if they can get a late boost from him, then absolutely that's going to just put him over the top, and that's what you kind of need. You need that kind of, to light that fire at the end sometimes when everybody's getting tired and, just worn down. So,
I'm sorry, just to throw 2 cents in real quick, not to be contrarian or whatever, but for my feelings of Bazzana couldn't be more opposite. I actually think that, he's getting a lot of hype. He got a lot of hype as the kind of like you said, Corey, is the 1-1. Last year he's on a 6-game hitting streak, which is something, I guess, whatever. But he's hitting an empty 241 at AA. He's got 9 extra base hits, only 3 dingers. I think only like 4 or 5 steals out of a major college program. Like, this guy is somebody who should be performing, especially was known as a bat first guy. So I'm underwhelmed by Bazzana's debut so far. And Arias has been great. Their shortstop position has been a complete black hole, kind of like you were saying to Schneemann. Then we could see conceivably, if Bazzana were tearing it up, move Arias over to short and put Bazzana at the deuce. But bottom line is, he's certainly not forcing their hand. How about that?
Can I talk about Zebby Matthews for just a second?
Sure.
So Zebby, like, if you're going to stash a starting pitcher, the Twins have actually got, like, everybody staying healthy for them right now. Including Pablo Lopez is back and pitching, which is good to see. And Festa seems to be ahead of Zebby Matthews. My love for David Festa. I have him like every team that I drafted as like a 50. Those draft and holds was my guy. And I got 2 good starts out of him and they send him back down, but we keep holding out their hope there. But Zebby Matthews is also not far away. If you're going to stash a starting pitcher, Zebby Matthews, I don't know how he fits into the Twins. I don't know where, like, eventually they should just kick Chris Paddock out of there and let these guys pitch. But apparently they keep just holding out hope for it. But Zebby Matthews has been great at AAA, and that's actually someone I'm willing to stash in some leagues too.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's I think the Twins might be on an innings management kind of thing where let's see how far we can get and still remain competitive with Paddock and Simeon with Richardson. And then, halfway through the season, we're going to ditch both these guys and call up Festa and Zebby and get a huge, kind of like you were saying with Cleveland, Joe, like get a huge boost into our rotation without actually having to do anything on the trade market.
It's the way to do it. Except they need help now, so because they are under 500. So
yeah, although I think they've won 5 or 6 in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
So it helps when you play ball tomorrow, unfortunately.
Yeah,
it's talk right now. Gosh,
man,
just getting ripped.
That's great.
So yeah, I never hold back from my own team. Trust me.
What did you think when they traded for Luis Castillo yesterday? Did you wake up this morning just being like, "Oh, they got the star, Luis Castillo, we got a picture"? And then it's like,
but I legit had a friend text me last night, just sent me the tweet, and I was like, "What? Who cares?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Wait, oh, wrong, Luis Castillo." And I was like, "Did you really think we got Luis Castillo for cash?" Come on, man. Dude, you fell for it. Come on, because I saw the F in the name. It was like, nah, who cares?
No.
There were so many people that fell for that, unfortunately, though. All right,
I feel like that was Mike Elias just being like, "Here's a big middle finger to everyone who wants me to trade for a starting pitcher. I'm going to trade for Luis Castillo. You're all going to think we got a star, and oops, nope, not that. Well, Luis Castillo."
It figures because F in the middle of the name, so that's pretty fitting. All right, so that's it for the prospect talk here. Hopefully you guys got some good information to help you with your teams this season. Let's jump over here to the news, and David, how we do this is I just kind of rip through all the topics. I'll give you a chance to pick one or two and kind of just go to town on them and go from there. So we got Mike Trout to the IL, a bone bruise in the knee. These seemingly come out of nowhere every single season. Here's this one. Jazz Chisholm, IL, out 4 to 6 weeks with an oblique injury. That was concerning. Tristan Casas ruptured his patella tendon, out for the season. Walker Buehler on the IL, shoulder inflammation. Austin Hayes, hamstring, looking like he might return on Friday, so at least that's good news. He's been hitting really well for the Reds. Jordan Alvarez, hand. He landed on the IL. He's been struggling this year, so maybe hopefully some time off and getting right will fix him. I'm hoping, because I got him on a team. I desperately need him to start picking it back up. Jesse Winker, IL with an oblique. Teoscar Hernandez, IL with an abductor strain. We talked about Shota Manga, hamstring, IL. Kobe Mayo was called up. Talked about him, but of course not doing anything. He didn't even play the first game. Like, I don't even know what they're doing. Leota Tavares, released by the Rangers, claimed by the Mariners. Hunter Green to the IL with a groin injury. And then Evan Phillips, even though he was starting to get some saves, it looked like there for the Dodgers, on the IL now with forearm discomfort. So that's not good news. So which one of these, one or two of these interests you the most?
Well, I'll start if that's okay. I'm gonna grab three if that's okay, and just go rip through them quick. So my favorite one is Leota Tavares. I am a beyond belief sucker for narratives. I like when the story tells itself, and they did this last year with Victor Robles, of course, former top prospect. Leota didn't have Robles' prospect cachet, but he was a good prospect, and known as a defense first guy. And then they grabbed him from they grabbed Robles from Washington for free. They did the same thing with Tavares, just picked up the salary, and thank you very much. I think they're gonna work similar miracles. They're gonna speed up his bat. I don't know if he's gonna be as good as Robles was in the second half last year, but especially if you're in the Roto or categories league, you definitely see Leota being an asset for steals the rest of the year. The second one that I wanted to talk about was Tristan Casas. This one breaks my heart. Joe, from my Dynasty article that I thought I called Casas the next Carlos Delgado this preseason. In the second half of 2023, which was the last time he was really healthy, post All-Star break 2023, he had 1,034 OPS and a 175 WRC+. So here's to a speedy recovery. But Alex Cora was quoted today as saying they're not sure he's going to be ready for opening day 2026. So
yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah,
really tough.
So, and then Rich, my co-host from the Two Guys One Road show, isn't here, so I will comment on his behalf. He actually talked about Mike Trout on our show earlier this week, how he always gets hurt, and then he got hurt. So anyway, I love, everybody. I mean, who doesn't love? Well, Rich doesn't love Mike Trout, but other than Rich, who doesn't love Mike Trout? And the bottom line is that just relying on him is kind of a fool's errand at this point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's definitely a likable guy, except for unless your name is Rich, apparently.
Yeah,
but it's really unfortunate, man. I really wish Mike Trout would figure out a way to get out of LA and get on a better team and just stay healthy enough to win a World Series. Like, this guy deserves it. He's one of the best that's ever played, in my opinion. So it's unfortunate to see it happen. Corey, which ones interest you here the most?
Well, I'll talk about Jazz Chisholm. So it's not just one oblique. He has 3 different tears in his oblique right now, which is no bueno as far as I'm concerned. So that like 6-week timeline, that feels like optimistic to me at this point. And they're going to be another team. Like the Yankees look great, right? So they're going to be cautious with him. Someone offered me a trade, and this is a dynasty league, right? So they offered me a Jazz Chisholm for Jarren Duran straight up, and I turned it down. And I probably would have turned it down anyways. I'm a Duran stan, but like I'm worried about Jazz Chisholm for a while here. So until we see it, don't bet on that timeline coming back. Jordan, you mentioned it. Jordan has been struggling. They said that he strained a muscle like on top of his hand somehow. I'm not sure how he did that, but that was what they were talking about. And it's making it hard for him to grip the baseball bat. But sure, like I guess it's not his knees. I guess that's optimistic. It's not his knees, because that's usually what it is with him, is his knees. So I hope that he can just come back in 10 days, but it's been cold. Like, he's been bad this year so far. So we need him to come back. Teoscar. So we talked about the Dodgers going with James Outman. Wasn't exactly what everyone wanted to see there. But they're going to be extremely cautious again. Adductor strain, right? They're going to be cautious with him. So whatever the timeline is, add a week to it, because they're not going to rush him back. They have absolutely no reason to rush him back. And then I'll do Hunter Green quick here too. Hunter Green, he was out. He was pitching great again, as he's done, I think, every game but one this season. And then he was going out to warm up for maybe the 4th inning, something like that. And grabbed his leg, went off with the trainer. I was a little worried. I was watching that game live, but it sounds pretty optimistic today. They say it might only be like a couple starts. So if you got Hunter Green, I think bullet dodged here. I still worry about the guy who throws 101 miles an hour having an arm issue at some point. But he's still pitching right now, and there's a lot of guys who aren't. So take advantage of him while you can, and hopefully we get him back in later May.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll cover a couple other ones here. I want to circle back to the Chisholm one. Like I don't want to take, like, I hate taking victory laps on injuries, but like, he is absolutely a guy. I was like, there is not a chance in hell I draft him at a draft cost. Everybody was so hyped up over the fact that he had this amazing run last year with the Yankees. First off, the rate that he was at last year with the Yankees was completely unsustainable. That was never going to happen.
I think he was going to steal 80 bases. Come on.
And yes, his counting stats were nice this year, but he's batting 181 on top of it. So that's not good. And last year was legit the only year he ever stayed healthy. And that was 141 games healthy. So he actually still got hurt. It looked a lot better than all the other seasons. So buyer beware with me on those types of guys. And look, I always say it. I'll be wrong once if I'm right 10 other times. Like I can't do it with these types of players. I just don't want to deal with it. Kobe Mayo, I mentioned him earlier. Like, the Orioles are a dumpster fire right now. I literally don't know what's happening. First off, the GM botched the offseason. We've mentioned this many times. I've always said I think the manager is in over his head there. I don't know why they have him. He won Manager of the Year when they like balled out. And I don't think he had anything to do with it, to be honest with you. I think the team was just like, oh, yeah, we're really good. And, it was just, I don't know why they still have him. Like, with the young talent that this team has, bring in a manager who knows what the hell they're doing, who's got experience to lead these young guys through. He's a young manager. Like, no, he needs to be gone. I don't want him there anymore.
Geez, Joe, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I could go on. Can I do an AJ rant? Because I could go on. No, we're not.
Did Kobe Mayo get a hit yet? He didn't get a hit yet. As of the last I saw, has he had a hit yet?
Nah, dude.
Kobe hold the Mayo.
I think they have totally screwed this kid up. And they keep not bringing him up, probably when they should. After he performs really well in spring training, that's you bring him up. He's got all the confidence in the world. Reward him. You send him down, he crushes spring training or AAA again. And then you call him up because there's an injury, and then you like play him half the time. Like, what is this guy doing? And he came out, and yeah, he like apologized later for it, but he came out as soon as he got called down. He's like, of course it's disappointing, but like, it's almost like a lose-lose situation for me. Like, if I go down and I don't perform, then it's like, oh, they were right. But if I go down and I perform, then it's, well, he's supposed to perform. It's like, what can I do? Like, what can I do at this point? It's really frustrating. And he's right. Totally right. You're messing with this kid's head. He's 23. He's an older prospect now at this point. Like, he has done nothing but prove himself in the minors. I don't know. Look, I'm not a team scout. I'm nothing like that. But like, this guy has done nothing but prove himself to me and a lot of other people that I do talk to who know way more than I do. And I don't know why they don't bring him up properly. Find a place for him, but it is what they. I just don't know what they're doing. I think they're losing probably at this point 1 or 2 years of like their peak years with Gunnar
Anderson and Adley Rutschman,
and
we're getting
Rutschman,
closer and closer every day to free agency.
Are literally going to walk. Like, there's no way that these guys are going to stay. We'll go to Evan Phillips. Good news for anybody who's got Tanner Scott, because it was looking pretty bleak there, man. Like, Evan Phillips, Corey, you and I kind of missed the boat on that one at NFBC. We were like, wait a minute. We have Tanner Scott. Wait, he didn't get to save this weekend. Wait, Evan Phillips did? Oh, crap. We fell asleep. But he got picked up in a bunch of leagues. So, yeah, that's unfortunate for him. Shota, hopefully the hamstring heals quickly for him. That was unfortunate. He was balling out that game too. And then, of course, everybody's going to go, oh, but he allowed the 2 runs. It really wasn't him. He absolutely would have gotten the out at first on that play had he not pulled his hamstring running to first base. But very next pitch from the reliever, home run. So 2 runs go to Shota. I believe they must have not gotten the double play either or something. They like messed up the double play completely. So 2 of those runs went on him. So that sucks. Yeah. I'm
going to do Walker Buehler quick. So that one doesn't actually sound, for a guy with a shoulder injury, that one doesn't sound super concerning. They did the MRI and I think he's already out playing catch, and they think it might just be base 15 days and he's back. I know he's already playing catch. They think they're doing a bullpen later this week. Maybe that might be tomorrow or today, actually, as we're doing this. And so Buehler, and I was pretty out at the beginning of the year. I didn't have a whole lot of confidence in it. He looks pretty good, actually. So a little bit more in to an extent there, not like diving head first in there, but into a little extent. And it sounds like it might not be that long and we'll get Walker Buehler back there. So that was kind of a dodged one. But Winker's out. Like, Winker's is bad. Winker's like 2 months. That sounds like his oblique is awful. So that at this point, just cut Jesse Winker if you were using him anywhere. The question with Winker was going to be, okay, well, how does it help the Mets? That was it as much as anything, because you're probably not using Jesse Winker, but they just started playing Starling Marte at DH, which, okay.
It's certainly a choice. You're allowed to make
certainly a choice.
It's an option. It was an option. You took that one.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all of them. Did we miss?
Yes.
We mentioned Austin Hayes returning on Friday.
I don't think we touched on Austin Hayes, but just he's coming back. No, he's not going to continue the stats that he's been putting up. But
I've always been an Austin Hayes fan.
No,
I've always liked his game. I don't think he's this good, but I think he's usable in fantasy, especially for
he is.
leagues.
The good news for Austin Hayes, the good news for him, kind of like we were talking about with how is it going to help the Mets. The Reds outfield by and large is a tire fire. So Hayes will get as much run as his health allows.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with Hayes. Yeah, just a guy who I've always kind of liked his game. You know, not a superstar, but man, just pretty good batting average. He's got a little bit of pop. Always thought he could run more. He just never did. But
since we're on the Reds, there's another one that we should have had on here that I forgot to put on here. And that's Noelvi Marte. Also injured his oblique. Just as he was finally starting to look like a decent player at baseball for like 15 games. He also injured his oblique, and that one doesn't sound overly promising. Like, I don't think it's as bad as Winker's, or maybe as bad as Chisholm's, but it's going to be a while with him.
It's a grade 2. So
so maybe like a month. I don't know what that's going to be. It'll be a while with him. And by the time he gets back, again, I don't know how it all fits together, because by then I expect that Candelaria will be back. Encarnacion Strand might be back. Austin Hayes might be back. Like I've said many times, I do not understand the Reds. I have Austin Hayes in a few spots. I have some of their lower players in a few spots. I have no Matt McLean. I have none of the high-end players because I did not know how the playing time was going to shake out. And Still don't know when to welcome Marte back. Is his 2 weeks of superstardom enough to just say, okay, you get the spot back somewhere? Maybe not.
Yeah.
Like,
over some of those guys, I mean, we talked about it last week, man. Like over some of the guys that you mentioned, yes, I do think he gets his chance to prove it again. I mean, CEH, man, or CES, like he doesn't like do it for me. I don't know why. Like it's okay power, pretty crappy batting average. It just, I don't know. Like, what does he really do that like?
I'm not
really
CS.
love
I'm not
this
standing
guy.
up for CS. I'm just saying I can easily see like a 4 days here, 2 days here, and like you're getting 4 or 5 games a week out of all of them.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And the Candelario problem is that
Candelario will be there.
That's the big one.
They paid him. So they're, ownership is going to mandate, hey, we paid this guy a bunch of money to play him.
The only ones who play every day that you can trust are Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain, who looks god awful.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are,
and I would say Tyler Stevenson.
It's catcher, sir. And Steer tends to play every day somewhere, even though he's
So,
gotten a little better. He's gotten a little better recently, but it's been rough.
I saw a stat today that since April 20th or whatever, it got off a hot start last year. So since April 20th of 2024, he has 71 WRC plus. Nice. That's not great.
No. And if you, I'm sure it's way worse if you count after the All-Star break last year.
Right.
Terrible at baseball last year. After that, I know I had him in lots of places. So, all right, man. That's it for the show, everybody. I want to thank you for listening, and on whatever platform you do, wherever you are, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, leave some comments. We'd like to hear from you, and David, thanks for coming on, man. Great conversation. Before you go, let everybody know where they can find you and what you got going on.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. Actually, is where one subscriber to my show found me at DW the Original. And also, again, like I said before, we have a show of our own on Fantasy Six Pack Network called Two Guys One Roto that we do weekly as well. So check that one out if you have time.
Absolutely, no, it's good stuff.
Find the time.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and of course, it's over on all of our platforms. So YouTube here and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or I don't know. There's like 3 million other places it goes, I'm sure, but those are the main ones. So go ahead and check it out. David, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to see you. All right. As we saw spots here, I don't know. I didn't mean to do that. So, all right. That's it for the show, everybody. I hope you had a good time listening, and we will be back. I'm not sure. I don't know if we'll be back next Thursday is my birthday, so I don't know if I'm going to be. We'll see. It might be. Be rare. It might be a rare show moments here for next weekend. Maybe we'll just have some fun with it.
That sounds good.
All right, guys. Have a good night, and we'll chat later. Peace.